Welcome, everyone. This is the Abundant Investor Podcast, and we are Beth and Christine, your hosts. We are here to show you how you can live your rich life right now with the power of an abundance mindset and tools the wealthy have used for years that are accessible to the rest of us. Things like real estate investing and using the powerful benefits of life insurance. We're so glad you're here. Now let's dive in. Hello, everybody. It's your host, Christine Fiske. I'm here with co-host Beth Rooney for another episode of the Abundant Investor Podcast. I'm so excited today. We have a fabulous guest on, our friend Amy Elkman. You're going to get to know Amy on this podcast. She is a fellow agent. She's a fellow investor. She's down in Texas, and we're just going to dive right in and share everything that we feel like is going to be so valuable to you to hear about our experience with EXP, our experience investing. And Amy's going to talk a bit about how she is using real estate to build wealth and is such a great shining example of how it can bring so much abundance and joy to your life. She's just a bundle of energy and great energy. And I'm just thrilled to introduce you to Amy.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I need to put you in my pocket every morning. When I wake up, that could be my wake up call, my alarm.
Amy,
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Give a little bit about your background, where you are, what you're up to, your background in real estate. Maybe even throw in how we met.
Yeah, totally. So I have been in sales my whole life. I was smiling and dialing ever since I got out of college. And then my last job before I had kids was even really out of a phone book. I worked for Modern Bride magazine in ad sales, and I would just smile and dial all day. So I've always been in sales, but it just didn't ever really feel aligned with me. And then I started having all these kids. And so my husband, 20 years ago said, you know what, I really want to do at the time, well, it's still called home vestors, where you buy ugly houses. Remember the caveman? And it's on all the billboards.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were going to buy one of those franchises. And we were trying to decide when I was pregnant with my second child, if we were going to go buy a franchise and move to like Vegas. We were thinking about moving to Louisiana, and it was crazy. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we just do it ourselves? Like, why do we need to buy a franchise? Let's just figure this out. So we pulled up our bootstraps and we figured it out. And in the meantime, while he was, doing these remodels and selling them, we were paying agents 3% to do that work. And I was like, well, actually 6%, Yeah. And so I'm like, shoot, man, I love real estate. I'll go get my license and I'll just start selling all your properties. And he's like, okay, that's brilliant. We'll save that money. So that's why I got my license originally, was just to sell my husband's properties. And then maybe occasionally do like a friend who was looking for a house, whatever. So for the first 15 years, I did that. I sold his houses. I would do like 2 or 3 houses a year. We would go on better vacations. It was fabulous. I loved it. Never broke 6 figures. I don't even think I broke 5 figures. It was just kind of like doing it to kind of keep me busy, keep me in his business, helping him. And that was it. And then about 5 years ago, my daughter went to college, and I kind of had a little midlife crisis where I was like, hold on.
We hear you.
What am I going to do with my life now? Because this has been rolling along pretty good, but now I'm going to have more time. And, they don't need me as much, the kids. So why don't I go all in on this real estate thing? Let's just see what happens. What would happen if I just really went full time?
I love it. What would happen if?
Yeah. Why not? Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah. Let's just see
what were the possibilities?
Yeah. And every time I would sell one of my friends' houses, they were like, why don't you do this full time? And I'm like, I don't know. I've been a full-time mom. That's been my focus. I wanted to be everywhere for everybody all the time. And I was so lucky. Oh, it's 11:11, by the way.
Oh, yay.
Anyway, it was so great that was my focus, and that is what I got to do. But I had never seen moms do what I was doing in a healthy way. I'd really never seen anyone do it or modeling it the way that I wanted to do it, because I wanted to be full-time mom, but then I also wanted to make six figures.
Yeah.
So I was like on just a path of like, okay, how can I figure this out?
Yeah.
So I started really leaning into it. At that time, I also had my little midlife crisis. So I started doing some things to just kind of fill up my cup, make me feel better. Because at that time, I was completely depleted. I was working with my husband. I was full-time mom. I was in every single thing you can think of, every board, volunteering all over the place, driving everybody everywhere, trying, perfectionist type A, all that bullshit. Can I say, can I cuss?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's fine. We love it.
Before I get too deep into it. So anyway, I'll try to keep it to my explicit minimum of 10. We'll see if we can do that. Probably not. But anyway, so I started reading all these books about, feeling better, feeling good every day. And I started meditating. And I read this book that taught me how to meditate. And a couple of weeks before COVID hit, so this was February of 2020, I read this book and I started meditating twice a day. I've not missed a day since.
That is great.
It has literally changed my life, changed my business, changed my everything. It's how I met Christine. It's how I started with EXP. All these things have come into my life. I'm not joking, because I meditate. So that is, I can't say enough about it. I really can't. It is the best thing that I ever implemented in my life, other than marrying my husband and having my kids. So anyway, I started doing that. And when I started doing that, now it was 2020. So let's be clear. But we know what happened to the real estate market in 2020. But it just was this perfect storm of, I started meditating, I started journaling, I started like going for walks outside and just really filling up my cup and not expecting anyone to do it for me.
Love it.
And that is when my business exploded. I had never done over 5 figures ever in my business in 15 years. And then all of a sudden, that first year, I sold $250,000.
Wow.
And I wasn't even
That's
trying.
great.
Like I wasn't even.
You're not whipping out all the strategies and like losing sleep over it, is what I hear you're saying.
It was called meditating and doing open houses. That's how I did it.
I
It
love
wasn't
it.
even on social media. I was literally doing open houses for my husband in his properties that I wasn't even listing. I was just going up there and doing open houses for the listing agent. And then it just all started snowballing and snowballing. And then I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Can I do this every year? This would be fun. So I did that for 2 years in a row. And then I decided for my 50th birthday to start a podcast. And
Yay.
it was just something that was weighing on my heart, that I just had all this experience I'd had in the last 2 years. I just want to share it with people. So for my 50th birthday, I started the podcast called Ace Your Life. And it's just all about the midlife pivot. It's about filling up your cup, making yourself feel good, all that kind of stuff. So that was so fun. And when I decided to do that, I joined Kathy Heller's podcast course. And that was how I got into her world. She's amazing. She takes abundance to a new level, manifesting to a new level.
Yeah.
And she started a mastermind group. And so I joined that mastermind group. And that is how I met Christine. She was in there. So we were in the same group. And then we had a retreat in Malibu, and then another one in Bel Air. And the Bel Air one was just off the chain. And that's when Christine and I really hit it off and talked about, our businesses and what we were doing. And she was like, I love your story about Tony Robbins and the beach house and the Airbnb and all that. So we just hit it off, and then the rest is history, I guess.
Exactly. Well, the rest is history until Beth and I joined forces last year, this time last year, and created the Abundant Investor. And then several months ago, several months ago from now, Beth said, I really think it makes sense for us to be selling real estate. It fits in with everything else that we're doing. We started to talk about you. We had one meeting and we were in, like, you introduced us to the Powerhouse Group.
And that is the other thing that has changed my life. So that's another good story. I'll try to keep it short, but basically a year ago I had COVID at Christmas time and I was just scrolling the internet and I saw this little spitfire, Amy Gregory, on the internet talking about real estate and doing it in such a beautiful way, just such a clean, great, and just, I don't know, in a way I'd never seen anyone do before. Not like a bunch of home tours and like, buy this is pending, blah, blah, but talking about the lifestyle of being a realtor and the lifestyle of, all of it. It was just so delicious. I loved it. And I was like, I want more of that. So I joined her social media course in January of this year. Never in a million years was I thinking about switching my brokerage. I loved Coldwell Banker. They were great. It was fine. And then the more I got into Amy's world and the more I realized that you could actually do business in a way that was so much fun and that lit you up every day and made you feel like you could just bust down the door. I want more of that. So I joined Powerhouse in May and it has talk about changed my life. It's crazy. Like I was just on the phone 5 minutes ago with a client who wants to buy a $4 million house and I'm writing up the contract right after this. So the abundance has been flowing in and I think it's all because I am so aligned with what I'm doing, with who I talk to twice a week on these calls. It's just everything. So
yeah,
I love it. The energy.
It's such a great story. So,
yeah. You can feel the energy is palpable. Really, it is. I have to say, I can see it in your face just talking to you. I can hear it in your voice. I'm sure people that are listening in can hear it. And you know what? It's like you mentioned earlier in this conversation about finding somebody to model, and you just didn't see anything like it. And I can see that. Like I've been in real estate for a long time, and sometimes I think, geez, I remember thinking like, where do I want to go with this, and what's ahead of me, and like, what's that vision? Yeah. And I feel the same way in being part of this Powerhouse Group. It's like, oh, okay, I get this now. It makes so much sense. You get to be a mom and be an agent. You get to work from home. You get to like really lean and enjoy what you're doing and collaborate with people.
I love it. And do things your way. And for me, it was everything Beth said, plus it was so entrepreneurial. And I so identify as an entrepreneur. And I felt like this is outside the box thinking. I don't have to, when I got my license very similar to you in a similar way, because we were investing in real estate. And I said, when it comes time to sell or to buy next time, I want to have my license. I want to take my piece of the pie. And so that was my plan for the last 2 years to get my license. I finally got it. What was the nudge to finish the course and get the license was that Beth and I were talking about using it, and our real estate portfolio was growing. And I felt like really uninspired though by the traditional brokerage and the traditional way real estate was being done. And when you shared the details, the behind the scenes of what was happening at EXP, I felt like, oh, of course. Like, and of course we're attracting that in right now because we're aligned just the way you were aligned. And it just feels so good. It just feels like these are our people. This is the way we're doing it. There are people who are trying to really embrace mom life, and maybe they're not trying to grow their business right now. And there's people who are showing us what's possible. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, is to be in a world and around people that are showing you what is possible.
Yeah. And the girl that we all are in her group, she has 4 kids. She says she works like 20 hours a week. And I know she's made over $1 million this year. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I want to be doing. Yeah. And I think that when you get in the room, when you get in the right rooms, when I had my call with her just to talk about, what the options were, I said, listen, I'm happy where I am, have a great split. I really just have no reason to move. I said, but I am stuck. Like I cannot get past this plateau and I don't know how to grow. And she's like, all you have to do is get in the right rooms with the right people. And they're
Mhm.
not going to like, it's not even the collaboration with them. It's the energy. It's the feeling of like, oh my gosh, you do it that way. That's brilliant. And I literally go and implement it within 10 minutes.
Yeah,
And
I
I've had
love that
so
about
many
you.
things happen to me that were from things that I implemented the minute I get off a call, a Powerhouse call. Like it's just, and again, it's what you put into it. You're not going to join the most fabulous group and never put an ounce of energy into it and expect to make $1 million. I go to every call. I do what they tell me to do. I listen to, everything she says. There's so much training available. Like you could never buy another course. Oh, that's another thing. Just spend thousands of dollars, like even with the Kathy Heller stuff, and try to get just a little morsel of what I could use in my business. This is women who are doing what I do every single day, who are brilliant, who are doing way better than me, way more volume than me. And I'm just soaking it in.
Just soaking it in.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's super collaborative and there's not any of that competitiveness. And that was one of the real detractors for me when I looked at traditional agents. It just felt like there was that vibe and then a lot of resistance. And like you're saying, everything's energy. So when you're surrounding yourself with other agents that are doing the things that are working, it's so easy to adopt them. I've coached agents. So in my coaching practice, I've coached them. There's a lot of resistance around things that don't fall inside what they've done before. And I think this is so refreshing. And then all of the breadcrumbs are right there in front of you so that you're like, oh, of course of course that works. And it just feels so aligned. So I love that so much. And it's clear that you're like on this incredible roll right now. You're really riding a wave of success and it's super fun. And I'd love to hear too, a little bit more about what you and your husband actually do. Cause you talked a little bit about working in his business and the fact that he kind of replicated this buying ugly homes business, but you wanted to do it for yourself. So what's the process for you two? And is that still part of what you do in real estate?
Oh yeah. In fact, we just bought another investment property yesterday.
Congrats.
Do as an owner finance. Yeah. So that's exciting. And it's been hard the last 3 years to find properties because the prices have been so high. It's hard to find that profit margin. But basically, he's been doing this for 20 years. And I was always just kind of like his CFO. And then I would sell a house when we would finish it. And I would also help him design and, like do the tile or do the paint or whatever. And I would order all this stuff, the faucets and all the light fixtures, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of the behind the scenes girl. And then in the last 5 years, I've gotten more busy with real estate. So I've kind of not been doing that as much. And especially since our business has transitioned, we've kind of had to pivot. So we do have 3 crews and they can do anything. They could remodel an entire house top to bottom within the 4 walls. We don't add on, but we do everything within the 4 walls. So we try to keep them busy. And when the market got so hot, it was hard to find that profit margin for us. So we've been doing a lot of remodels, a ton of remodels. And that's kind of what we've been focusing on full time.
Got it.
Also, so we do that and that's really fun. We love flipping houses though. That's like our favorite thing to do. That's definitely my husband's favorite thing. So I'm hoping that as the market regulates itself a little bit better, that we'll have more opportunities for that. And like we did one last year, we found this awesome, of course, I'm going to say awesome water damage, but
spoken like a true investor.
We love water damage. It's like, oh, it's already all ripped out. They come in and do all the work for you. You just have to go in and fix it up. It's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So we found this water damage, beautiful, like 4,000 square foot house in our neighborhood, a few blocks away.
Wow.
And we bought it. I think we bought it for like 1.2 million. It was our biggest project that we'd ever done. And we ended up selling it for 185.
Oh, good for you.
Now there was, this is like a $400,000, $500,000 remodel and holding costs and all that stuff, but still it's a great profit margin. So we would do that all day long. So anybody that's got water damage, give me a call. Also, we love water damage and remodels, because then you're dealing with insurance companies, and then they have, they give you all this money to like fix your house up, and it's fantastic. So
great.
we love
So
that
great.
too.
Yeah, we love the notion of building equity through real estate. And for someone who's thinking about it, because we definitely have people in the audience that love the idea of this and haven't maybe invested in anything yet.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you could give someone?
Oh, just go for it. I mean, there's so many ways that you can do it now with a HELOC, or you can, take equity out of the home that you own and buy something, or you can rent the home that you own and buy something new. And there's so many different options. The way that we do it is we have a line of credit, because we've been doing this for so long, that we will buy properties on our line of credit. And then like the one that we bought, or that we put under contract yesterday, we will end up fixing that up. It's a smaller home. It was like 175,000, I think. And which in Dallas is a smaller home. I mean, we're in a very robust market. So this is kind of like it would be a rental, I guess, normally. It's in a smaller suburb. And so basically we'll fix that up, and then we will own or finance it. So what we are is we're the bank. We own the house, but we give, when they purchase it from us, whoever buys it, they get title, and they also put a big down payment down, and then we're the bank. So we technically own it, but they're on title. And then once they pay it off, they own it free and clear. So it is the most wonderful business model if you have, a line of credit, or if you're able to afford that, because you've got mailbox money basically. And then anything that you need to fix up, you can write off. I mean, it's a really awesome way to build wealth, and also, pay for everything every month. I mean, it's awesome. So that's kind of our retirement plan. We have about 10 of those right now that we've accumulated over the last 20 years. And we'd love to do like 2 more a year at least.
Are they all in sort of the greater Dallas area? Do you go out of state? Yep. No, they're all.
Oh, no, we haven't done that yet. No, because mainly because we have our crews that are local.
Yes. Yeah.
So we like to keep it to where we can fix it up and, do it ourselves. Plus it keeps them busy. We have to keep them busy.
Yeah.
They'll stay, we'll go find other jobs. So, that's kind of our business model with that, which has been great.
I love it. I love it. And can you talk a little bit about how do you find these deals? How are they coming about?
Well, I have to give my husband the credit for that, because he can work a phone like nobody, and he's better than me, believe it or not. And he also has this network over the last 20 years of investors that he's worked with, that he's bought things from. Yesterday, I didn't even know about. He just called me and said, "You want to go look at this house in Mesquite?" And I was like, "Oh, how'd you find out about that?" And he goes, "An investor that I know." So he has a network over the last 20 years that he's done, but also you can pair up with a real estate agent. I mean, I have searches for him where I just, say anything that's either coming on the market new, or that's been on the market for 90 days or longer, because those people are ready to play. Yeah. So if you can find that sweet spot, or really it's better if they're just off market, because then you can save a lot of money. But that again is just kind of a networking thing. So you could always just go to network events for investors. You can find local ones in your area, or, and then also when you're with a brokerage like Powerhouse that's nationwide, you've got people calling from all over the country. I mean, this is another part of my business, but I've had 2 referrals this year. I never had 1 referral.
Wow.
Ever.
From that group?
18 years of being a realtor. And this year I've already done 1, 2, 3.
That is great.
That's so great.
So it's just who you're aligning yourself with.
Yes. I love it.
I love it. And I know what gets me excited about that is that, just not to interrupt, but Powerhouse is where I've seen most of these agents are kind of Dallas. Amy's in Arizona. There's a good contingency out in Washington State, California. So for Christine and I'm really excited to bring Powerhouse to the East Coast, not just to our little town here in Milton, but all up and down the East Coast, to the beach communities of Rhode Island and to, Maine, the coastal community of Maine. There's like Cape Cod. There's such a, I would love to see us bring Powerhouse out here to the East Coast because of all of just the way the business is done. It's so refreshing. And I know that there are lots of agents that would love to do business this way.
Yeah. And it's such an antiquated model to have a brick and mortar. It just is. Like, that was one thing I hated about my broker is I hated going to those Monday morning meetings.
Does anybody like those? I've heard that from multiple people.
Well, but how funny the difference between the Powerhouse meetings and these. I won't miss a Powerhouse meeting.
I know.
Because if I miss a Powerhouse meeting, I know that I've missed out on like thousands of dollars of coaching. When she pulls that Post-it note out and starts writing things, I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I never had one moment of that in 5 years at Coldwell Banker. Like, I can't even remember that office.
Yeah.
It was like, and it was just like a bunch of old men making coffee and using the copying machine. And I was like, what are all these people? It kind of reminds me of, I mean, this is so off topic, but we bought a new truck this weekend and I did a whole story series on this on Instagram. Let me just tell you, that was the worst experience I've ever had in my life. Like, we had to go back to the dealership 4 times. There were 400 people walking around, like on their phones, doing nothing with their feet on the desk.
Yeah.
I was like, this reminds me of real estate. Like, this is what people think works. And it is a nightmare. Like, I could sell a $2 million house on my phone.
I know.
Why are they doing that with a car? I didn't get it. It's crazy.
Everything evolves, right? Like, so my career before here was working in tech startups. So I always felt like I was always working on the cutting edge, things that are cutting and modern, right? And then all of a sudden, like, you look at these industries. When Beth and I started the insurance arm of our business, the ways are so antiquated, which in my mind, it excites me. Actually, I get excited to see those antiquated systems because I know that we can take something from our other part of our life and apply it here. And I think it's like John Maxwell in his 15 Laws of Leadership talks about look to other industries for inspiration. Every industry has to catch up. And EXP to me was the pinnacle of the way that real estate should be done. And I hate the word should, but the way that it gets to be done, because it's modern. It's like, it's in the time and ahead of the time that we are in. The fact that you can't find a brick and mortar is fascinating to me. I love it. It's great. I know who wants that, right? And the network, the way that it's so collaborative, and I never feel any of that competitive vibes. It's like, how can I help you? Who can refer me? I see these messages on these message boards all day long. Who can help me with this? Who can help me with that? And then the other thing I love about it is that people are coming to the table with all their other skill sets and they're sharing them with each other. Like you said, all this training and coaching that you're getting, you would pay somewhere else thousands of dollars for. It's available to you. It's like a buffet. It's like, what do you want to eat today? Like, because you can grab it all.
Need to spend $1 more on coaching. And like yesterday she gave, she was talking about,
and she is Amy. She is Amy Gregory at
Amy Gregory. Did an entire series of like this huge program about agent attraction or something that was worth $1,500. She just gave it to all of Powerhouse. It's in our Trello board. I was like, wait, we get that for free? Like anything that she does or anyone, and it's not just her, it's all these other heavy hitters who are selling $35 million a year in real estate. They go to the Powerhouse meeting, they explain what they do a presentation, and we all get to learn from them. It's amazing. I'm just blown away by all of it.
It is great. It is great. I have to say, Christine, when you were just talking about the insurance industry and how antiquated it is, and the car industry and how antiquated it is, and I think I look at Amy's team, it's mostly all women. I think that has a big thing to, a big piece of it where it's just like we're bringing this feminine energy that's collaborative. And there's none of that in the car dealership, right? There's hardly any of it.
No.
In life insurance, it's only 18% of the people that are licensed to sell life insurance are women. And so I do think that this feminine energy, and that's what, like you say, Christine, it gets you excited, gets me excited too, because there's so much we can do. There's so much growth ahead of us in real estate and in life insurance and in, all this sort of ways of working with people that really feels good. Like I think you said delicious, and I like that.
Yummy. It's so yummy. I get so excited every Tuesday and Thursday when I have these calls. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. What am I going to learn today? And then she pulls that Post-it note out, and it's amazing. And I think also part of it is because she has a background in elementary education. So it's so interesting how we pull from all these different parts. I mean, I have a podcast and I do owner finance, and we do flip houses. So that's my skill set. So I can kind of bring all that to the table. And everybody, like one girl has, she stages all her houses. That Homes by J.Lo did a whole presentation on that. So then a bunch of women went and started staging their houses as an added benefit to their listings. And people love it. Like, there's just so many ways that people do it. And the biggest thing is there's no competition. I think that was the biggest thing for me, because I was on a team, but it wasn't like dependent on each other. But there was a lot of competition and a lot of poaching. And that is not cool. And it makes you feel really icky. And that's why I love with this nationwide team, you just have none of that, because there are very few agents in Dallas that are on the Powerhouse team.
Right. I just want to say too, there's a couple things I want to say. Your seller finance knowledge is so interesting. I didn't even know this. I messaged you last night. We're purchasing a property. We'll close on it next week that we are going to eventually seller finance to other tenants that we have. And I thought I didn't know anyone that did seller finance. So you and I get to talk about that. You could start a whole consulting arm of your business around that, or create a course. And I love that this stager, she's gotten other people staging their own stuff, but also people have these little side hustles going on within EXP that is so fun and fascinating to me. They get to create another income stream. So people always say, how do you become a millionaire? Well, most millionaires have 7 or more different income streams. An obvious one for most agents is real estate investing, but another one that we're seeing a lot within EXP, and we have ourselves too, is creating your own courses and sharing your knowledge in a way that builds your wealth and informs and educates other people who will willingly pay for it because it's related and it's a skill set they don't have. So just mirroring back your skill set in seller financing, among the many, many other things that you have. And that I love that about EXP too.
I know that's something that I really want to focus on next year, because honestly, if you're an agent and you're a solo agent like we are, it's at some point you can't make enough for how much you're having to work. The transactions, I don't want to sell 40 million.
Doesn't scale.
Yeah.
I want to sell 10 million a year and then have a course that's badass that I'm blowing out. I want to do that. Like, I want to have multiple streams of income, not just transactions. I'm happy just to sell 10 million a year. That thrills me, because that is that's an amazing income.
Love it.
And you can have time to do other stuff.
I love it.
That is, and I never even knew that was possible with all the other brokers. Like, they don't push anyone to do anything but transactions.
That's right. It's self-serving. Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
So abundant.
So good.
Amy, this is so great. Thank you so much for introducing us to EXP and bringing us onto this team. It's going to be fun. Let's do another podcast next year, right before Christmas, and talk about all of the great things that happened over the past year. We're so excited to be here. I really love your energy. I love following you on your social media. If you're listening, you got to follow Amy on Instagram. You do such a great job. We're thrilled to be here with you, and I just love your energy. So thank you so much.
I just wanted to say, we'll link it in the show notes, but Amy, tell everyone quick where they can find you.
Okay, before I do that, let's say what we want to do in 2024. So in a year, we'll look back and see if we did it. What do y'all
Brilliant.
What do you want to focus on next year?
We
Go first.
have some big goals, right? So I would say there's a couple parts of our business. It's the real estate investing.
Mhm.
So we have some goals around that, right? I think we talked about having 4 fix and flips, Christine, right? So
Yep, that's our big
we
goal.
have real estate investing. We have real estate transactions. I think we talked about doing 24 transactions in
Next year.
24. I think that's doable.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
We want to grow our team of agents. I really think it's fun. I feel like we owe it to the world to bring this new life breathe this new life into those. What 24 agents are really going to want to be part of something like this from up and down the East Coast here with us, right? So that's a third goal. We're working with people on having them understand how they can use properly structured life insurance to fund real estate. So that sounds like a mouthful, but it's actually really fun to teach people how to do that. We already started that. We've had a couple of clients that close in the next week or two with this. And so we have some big goals to add to that. What's our number there, Christine? Another 24 or at least? Did I miss anything?
Absolutely. And we've got we've got a course that we want to continue to sell and upgrade. We're going to live launch it again in the new year. So lots of little parts, and we're finalizing what are our big juicy goals for next year. But tell us about yours.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was what I was going to work on over the holidays. So I haven't totally finalized. Big mouth. And then I don't even have that answer. Okay. But I will tell you this, in my heart, in my meditation this morning, this is what I thought. Okay. I want to start a course for sure. I would like to bring 10 agents over to EXP at least.
Love it.
I want to sell 10 million in real estate.
Perfect.
At least. And I want to find my husband 10 flips.
Love it.
Love
So
it.
I'm just keeping mine at 10, just to keep it like real even. But I think that is very doable, especially with everything that we've learned, even just since I've been with this new brokerage. I think that's the least I'm going to do next year.
You're going to blow the doors off of that, Amy, for sure.
We're going to blow it all out.
Oh my gosh. Where can everyone find you?
Instagram, Amy Elkman. It's AIMEEEELKMAN. I spell it funny, French. Thank you, Mom. And then I'm really at Instagram. That's like my favorite place. I also have a website, but I don't even know how to use it. So see me on Instagram, and I can talk to you all day.
Podcast.
Stuff.
Yeah, I love it.
Your podcast
thank y'all so much for having me. This was so fun.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Abundant Investor Podcast and learned something new. We would love to hear from you. And if you did get something from this episode, please subscribe and rate this podcast so more people can find it and live their rich lives too. And remember, an abundant mindset means there's always plenty to go around, and through giving, we receive.